I was sitting in the middle seat of a 6-hour flight, knees pressed against the tray table, and I looked over to my right, business class. It was empty, except for one guy. Now, I don't normally pay attention to people in row number one, but this man, he was not dressed like a typical business traveler. He had no blazer on, no laptop, just a hoodie, a neck pillow, and a grin like he knew something the rest of us didn't. So curiosity got to me. It got the better of me. And when we landed, I couldn't help going over to him and I asked him straight up. I said, "How did you end up in that seat?" The man laughed. "I didn't book it. I asked for it at check-in. $50. They were about to close the gate and I just asked." That one sentence unraveled everything that I thought I knew about flying. And over the past couple of years, I've gone down the rabbit hole, deep, testing every so-called trick I could think of, reading the fine print and uncovering the things that airlines really hope you never figure out. He went on to explain, because I was confused and I asked for more information. I was so nosy, all right, I know, but I had to read to you. He said he was at the check-in counter inside the airport terminal and already knew that this was where airlines offered last-minute upgrades, especially if business or first class had empty seats, if economy was overbooked as well, and also if the agent has discretion to offer revenue upgrades to fill premium seats. So he asked politely, he said, if any paid upgrades were available for the flight. Sometimes he said it's $50, $85, or even free in rare cases, especially for elite status or when accommodating bumps. And he was fortunate to get one for $50. Well, today I want to share more of those sneaky and smart ways that I've saved money on flights. Stuff you won't hear from your average travel guru. Because if you're still relying on last minute sales and Tuesdays at 1 p.m., you're playing checkers in a chess game. Let's start with the invisible tax that you've probably been paying without realizing it. This is what happens when you search for flights online. The airlines know who you are. Well, not you personally, but your location, your habits, your past searches online. It's all fair game. Prices rise if you check the same route multiple times, and they definitely change depending on where you're searching from. I learned that the hard way when I was booking a trip to Tokyo. I watched the price go from $620 to $790 in 2 days, same dates and same airline. And I changed nothing with my flight information. But that was the problem. When I used a VPN and switched my virtual location to Argentina, and suddenly that same flight dropped to $568. To the airline, I just looked like a poor passenger from Argentina. Well, digitally speaking, of course. It felt shady at first, but it's really not. It's how the airlines price their tickets based on market and behavior and location. They're playing poker, but you don't have to show your hand. And here's something even more devious. Did you know that you can book the wrong destination on purpose and still save money? Let me explain, because you probably think I'm nuts. I once needed to fly to Atlanta, but every flight was ridiculously overpriced. I was about to give up when I stumbled across a cheaper flight to Orlando with a layover in Atlanta. The layover was my actual destination. I just didn't board the second leg of the flight to Orlando. That is called hidden city ticketing. And yes, it's controversial. Airlines hate it. They'll even try to ban you from doing it if you make it a habit. But for a one-off situation, when prices are punishing you and options are limited, it's one of those that they made the rules and I'm just working with them kinds of moves. You can't check any bags though. You can't. And you probably shouldn't attach your frequent flyer account when you book that flight. And you absolutely shouldn't try it on a round trip. But when it works beautifully and you enjoy tons of savings. And that's my thing. Now, the myth about cheap Tuesdays. This one annoys me the most. Why? Because it used to be true, but it's not anymore. And it's not reliable either. A friend of mine once texted me at 1:07 p.m. on a Tuesday to proudly announce that he had booked a flight to Rome. He was convinced that he nailed it. He'd waited for the sweet spot, he said. The thing is, though, I booked the same flight 2 days earlier for $90 less. The modern pricing model, which the airlines call dynamic pricing, doesn't care what day of the week it is. It cares about patterns, demand, clicks. The more people search, the more price adjust. I started using tools like Hopper and Google Flights, not just to find deals, but to track when the prices were about to change. And it's not about the day you book anymore. It's about catching the price dip before the algorithm catches you. Here's a pro tip. What I want you to do is to sign up for Google Flight Alerts. And if you want to catch the best deals, but you have to be flexible though, with your dates, your flight dates, that is. And speaking of booking, let me tell you about the time that I booked the perfect flight and then immediately regretted it. I've been searching for hours for this flight. I wanted to have I see a deal, and I finally thought I did, and I panicked and I clicked. But then, of course, I found a better deal afterwards, and I assumed I was stuck with the first deal. Non-refundable, right? Except I wasn't stuck. I hope you're getting value from this video so far, but wait, I cannot tell you all the airline's tricks and secrets in this video. So I created a digital travel bundle that has the underground secrets that they wouldn't want you to know about, but I spill it all in my bundle. It's titled Airline Secrets 2025, Outsmarting the System from Booking to Boarding. You shouldn't travel without this one on your next trip. Grab it from the first link in the description. You will thank me later. Now let's continue. What most people don't realize is that in the United States, there's a federal regulation, a federal law that requires airlines to offer a full refund on any flight, no matter the fare type. If you cancel within 24 hours of booking, as long as your departure is more than 7 days away, it's buried in the policy pages, and airlines never remind you or tell you. Also, many passengers don't even know that rule exists, but it's there. I've used it multiple times since that incident. It's like a 24-hour free trial for your flight. You book first, you stress less, you cancel if needed. Now let's pivot for a moment because this next trick comes with a personal twist. 2 years ago, I booked a cheap flight to London. I was feeling smug until I landed at Stansted Airport. Now, if you don't know London, let me paint the picture. Stansted Airport is technically in London, but only if you count a 1-hour train ride as part of the city. I ended up spending almost £60 just getting into town, into London town. Suddenly my deal wasn't so great. That's when I learned never to search just by city. Always check with airport that you're flying into or out of. Some cities have multiple airports with wildly different convenience levels and transportation costs. It's one of those things that you don't think about until you're dragging your suitcase up 5 flights of stairs in a subway station nowhere near your hotel. To that guy he's stuck with, and after myself in. On a recent flight to Lisbon, I waited until online check-in opened up. No upgrade offer popped up. But when I got to the airport, I asked at the desk, just casually, if there were any upgrades available. The agent smiled and said, actually, we're offering upgrades to business class for $85 today. I didn't even blink. That's less than most people pay for overweight baggage. It doesn't always work, and it depends on the airline, of course, but it works often enough that I now make a habit of checking. I found the key is not to ask if upgrades are available, but how much they're charging today. It makes you sound like someone who knows what they're doing and what they're talking about. And in travel, that confidence can unlock a surprising number of doors for you. Now, before we wrap up, There's one more story I need to share. It's the tale of a 4-hour delay in Berlin. I was frustrated, tired, and ready to write off the day. But someone in the line mentioned an EU passenger compensation law rather. I looked it up, and sure enough, if your flight's delayed more than 3 hours and the cause isn't weather related, you're entitled to compensation. In my case, it was £400. It took me 15 minutes to file the claim online, and the money landed in my account a few weeks later. Most travelers don't know this, and the airlines will never tell you, but it's there, plain as day, if you look. So yeah, maybe you've been overpaying. Maybe you've been flying the way they want you to fly. But now, after watching this video, you know you've got options. You've got workarounds, and you've got stories. And if even one of these tips saves you a few bucks, or lands you in a better seat on the plane, or gets you into town a little faster, it's worth it. Now here's what I want to know. What's your sneakiest travel trick? Drop it in the comment section. I read all of those comments, and I might even test a few in the future videos to show my other subscribers. Until then though, travel smart, fly smarter, and never settle for the sticker price ever again. Thanks for watching. And guess what? I'll see you in the next video.